Luke chapter 6 might be termed as Luke's sermon, but on the plain. Matthew chapter 5 verse 1 begins what is termed as Matthew's Sermon on the Mount. In Luke chapter 6 verse 20, Jesus comes and stands on a level place. He stands on a plain, and from there he proclaims his sermon. Our gospel text of today is taken from part of Luke's Sermon on the Plain, chapter 6, verses 43 to 49. And in these verses, 3 points are made, and the first is about 2 kinds of trees. The second is about the type of tree, and the third is about action more than words. So the first point about 2 kinds of trees: there can be a rotten tree and there can be a tree which is good. And so it is obvious that if a tree is rotten at the roots, it will continue to grow in a rotten manner, and the rotten tree can produce no fruit at all, and even if it does produce fruit which is rare, the fruit that it will produce is rotten, cannot be eaten, cannot be consumed, is of no use whatever. There is the good tree, which is good not only outside, but which is good within. And because the tree is good right from its roots, when it grows into a flourishing tree. And not only does it grow into a flourishing tree, it gives out good fruit which can be consumed, which is healthy, which is nourishing. And so, we need to ask ourselves who we are at the roots. Am I like the rotten tree which produces nothing for anyone, including for myself? Or am I like the good tree which produces plentiful fruit and especially for others? In the second point which the Lord makes, he speaks about a variety of trees. And one of the trees that he speaks about is a fig tree. And the fig tree is one type of tree. And there are a variety of trees. So it does not matter whether I am a fig tree and you are a mango tree, another is an apple tree, another is a guava tree. It does not matter. What he says is that you cannot collect thistles from a fig tree, because the fig tree will give figs. It doesn't matter whether it is figs or whether it is mangoes or whether it is apples or whether it is guavas. What matters is the fruit. And each one produces different kind of fruit. So there is no need for a fig to compare with an apple or an apple to compare with a guava. What we need is to continue to produce the fruit that we produce. I glory in my selfhood and I appreciate the selfhood of others. I glory in my uniqueness and my individuality, and I accept the individuality and the uniqueness of everyone else. And finally, the Lord speaks of one thing which is hearing, and because I hear, I can recite and I can mouth and I can verbalize prayers, which is good and which is required and which must be done. But that alone is not enough. And the Lord says, why do you call me Lord, Lord? You are using the right titles. You are using the perfect names. You are using the correct words, but they are meaningless. They fall to the ground like the seed on the path, or the seed in rocky ground, or the seed in thorns. Your words bear no fruit. And then he goes on to show what kind of person does not bear fruit when he gives us the analogy of the 2 houses. And the two houses are of one who built the house on rock and dug deep and laid the foundation. And after digging deep and laying a solid foundation, the house was laid. And then such a house will never fall. Another is a shallow house. A shallow house where there is no foundation, where there is no depth, where there is nothing which can hold it together. And this house, the moment there is a slight wind, it falls. And so we go back to the origin when we spoke about the foundation of the rotten tree and the foundation of the good tree. We continue our reflection on the type of tree that we are, and what we need to ask ourselves is, first of all, whether, like the good tree, I will produce fruit. And if I do, it doesn't matter what kind of fruit it is, and it doesn't matter whether others produce different kinds of fruit. The point is to produce fruit. Do I regard myself as a tree with a solid foundation, which is a good tree and produces good fruit? If yes, why? If no, why not?